Welcome. And
Hello.
happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Breaking Into Cybersecurity. And thank you for joining us live Friday at 1 p.m. Today, we have an amazing guest that comes from a different part of cybersecurity that often isn't talked about, and that's the marketing side. And people don't realize that we need individuals from all sorts of diverse backgrounds doing diverse activities in order to be able to communicate the message clearly to our audience. And today we have Dani Woolf, a fellow podcaster herself. Her podcast is called Audience First. And I want to say I'm a fan because I've listened to it, and you've had some very hard hitting interviews with some really cool people. So I wanted to have you on here so that you could share your journey, and for other marketers out there that want to kind of dip their toes into cybersecurity marketing, what was it like for you? So let's start with your journey. Um, where were you before this, and why cybersecurity?
Yeah, that's awesome. And Chris, thanks for having me on. This is special, and I'm a big fan. So, my name's Dani. Everyone, hello, hello. I've spent the last decade or so running digital marketing for various SaaS technology companies ever since I moved to Israel from LA, landed in the high tech world here. I worked in different consumer and enterprise tech companies, also catering to different verticals, big pharma, education, IT. Um, in my time working for those companies, I was good tactically, strategically at what I did, but I didn't really feel like I was making any difference whatsoever. Like, don't get me wrong, I learned a lot, had some great mentors along the way. Um, but looking back now, I'm not sure I really truly believed in the ultimate value of those technologies or the company mission. I think it wasn't until the end of 27 when I felt really burnt out. I felt like I was like spinning on this hamster wheel. I wasn't utilizing my skills to the maximum, nurturing my core values as a person and as a marketer in the organization I was working for. Um, and I was like, okay, what do I do now? What do I do now in my career? And I saw a really great position open up on Glassdoor. I was just looking for like different positions and jobs and looking at salaries and looking at company ratings. And I saw a really great position open up at Guardicore, now part of Akamai. And I knew that company because we were trying to sell our product to them. And something in me said, I did a little bit of research, and something in me said, yes, go for it. The cybersecurity industry is a good space to be in. There's a mission there. The hiring process was quick. I got the job, and here I am now, a little over 4 years later. So I think looking back, knowing that there was a true mission to working in that industry was what drew me in, essentially. And then I got in, and I learned really quick, that what worked for others, high consideration buyers in different industries, those strategies and tactics, those do not work for security buyers. And yeah, it was a wake up call, because those buyers they're innately distrustful. Um, and that,
No.
well, I think it kind of comes with the job description, you know. So when I got the job, I knew that the mission was important. I subscribed to that cause. Being on the good side, being able to arm as a vendor, being able to arm those on the virtual and physical front lines battling threats. But I didn't know how much that was important until I started the job, until I started running, until I started failing absolutely miserably at connecting with audiences. I was really frustrated. And I talked to other marketers. I joined marketing forums and groups that helped to a certain extent, but I still saw that a lot of marketers and a lot of salespeople were living in this echo chamber and doing things that I knew were morally and ethically wrong for the audience, for the industry. And a little over a year ago, I was fed up and I realized, yeah, we have, I need to do something dramatically, radically different, or else, as from a career perspective, I am not going to succeed. This is totally against what I believe as a person. And for my company and organization and vendor that I work for, it is we're going to fail miserably if we continue on this route. So
Mhm.
that's when I really solidified my core values as a marketer. And now learning about all of you is my obsession. I mean, connecting to you authentically, creating great experiences for the audience and my team also is my passion. Empathy, trust, and loyalty, that's my North Star metric. And I try to carve out time each day, uh, to read, to become literate, to talk to customer facing stakeholders internally regularly, to listen to customer calls, to have conversations with the very people that I'm trying to sell to understand their bleeding neck challenge and their motivation. Because if I don't, then what the hell am I doing in this industry? What the hell am I doing marketing at all?
Let's take a step back there. So coming from another industry to cybersecurity, how did you, first of all, like catch up on the technical aspect of it? Because I think one of the struggles I have with some marketing and potentially salespeople as well is that they might not understand the technology. They don't understand how it works. Their advertising is like wrong, or like, oh, 100% prevent that, 100% prevent this. Like, how did you catch up yourself for realizing what's really possible and what's um, marketing hype?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, how do I keep up? You just slow down. You can't know everything first and
Mhm.
foremost, and you can't do everything. So there is no 100%. I think on audience first, Ryan Cloutier told me there's no such thing as 100%. There's no such thing as 100%. There's no such thing as full security. And and yeah, it's putting those messages out and realizing that, getting lashed out that it doesn't work. That kind of stuff doesn't work. It doesn't fly. And I think, understanding that, listening to what customers are saying and listening to the actual words that are saying and utilizing that actual language in your advertising will go a lot farther than making up some marketing hype that is over promising and really under delivering at the end of the day, which is, a real big issue today. So how do I keep up? I just kind of slow it down, listen more, um, ask lots of what to me sometimes seem like dumb questions, but are not at the end of the day. I don't think there's such thing as dumb questions or redundant questions, especially when you're trying to learn and especially when you're curious. I think being curious is a very underrated uh, quality today for marketers, sales, even technically literate people. Not I'm not technically illiterate yet, but and listening I think is another underrated skill that most people just need to sit down and just listen a little bit. So
Well, let's take it. Let's kind of dissect what you just said. So, listening to your customers and using their language, isn't this the same thing that we tell ourselves with security awareness, that we have to kind of take our message back from the technical and make it focused on our audience so that they can really understand us?
I think so, but we all don't do it, and I don't know why. We don't do it enough, I think. So I think that realization that you just need to kind of slow it down, listen, you don't need to talk necessarily, um, will go a long way. You'd have more insight into security awareness and all that training, but yeah, I can see we all lie to ourselves and we say, yeah, we got to do this and we got to do that, but we just don't do it. We don't necessarily subscribe to what we're saying sometimes. And, it's a wake up call. Sometimes I have to say, hey, like you believe in something, keep on it, right? Don't subscribe to what other people are doing because most do it. Keep on what you're doing. You know what I mean? Um,
And
yeah.
how do you break down the technical to the simple so that you can communicate those ideas to your audience?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I like to take what the audience is saying, that their language, and make it as conversational as possible. I don't, our websites, our marketing material, it's not for those who, it's not a dissertation. It's not a PhD dissertation, papers, case studies, all that stuff. It's not geared for a dissertation. We're working with normal people that need to understand something simply. We need to reduce complexity, make it as conversational as possible. Try to use that same language that you're hearing from the very people that you're selling to who are giving you feedback. And then, get that on paper, reduce that complexity, simplify, and then simplify again. You know what I mean? Because who has time to read these days, right? Be as specific and simple as possible. That to me, I think is a huge differentiator. Marketers and salespeople who simplify as much as possible and reduce that complexity are gonna win at the end of the day.
So how do you go about finding your target audience, who they are, and how to communicate to them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, I look for indicators. Lately, I've been looking at indicators on LinkedIn. It's a really good targeting tool. We know, coming into a vendor, we know who our ideal customer profile is, right? And we look for those indications of success through comments, through discussions that are happening around things that we're presenting in the market, through inquiries coming back on our website based on things based on things that are pulling in our audience into our website. If they, at the end of the day, are fitting who is who has brought us that revenue and who has brought us that business in the past, then we know that that's an indication of success. Um, LinkedIn is huge for us as a revenue generation tool, not a direct to revenue generation tool, but it's giving us all the information we need of who is the buyer, what are they interested in. We're able to see indicators of interest through things that they're writing on those forums, on their wall. I really think that people who double down on that platform could really maximize the use of that platform. So that's what I'm doing lately. Yeah.
Interesting. A lot of the things that you're saying are the same things that I recommend to job seekers to go out and to find the hiring managers, see what you're writing on their posts, see what they're doing, interact with them. And if you get interaction back, then you potentially have someone that you've connected with, and that could be a good source for you to lean on. Um, so let's take a shift the other way. How do you predict for yourself, like what the future looks like? What trends are starting to emerge so that you can kind of use them to your advantage?
Yeah. Wow, that's a loaded question. Let's repeat that. Take that. Let's break that question down a little bit.
How do you keep an eye out for trends?
Oh, Yeah. Again, it goes back to that listening. It goes back to hearing what people are saying online. It goes back to taking a look at the data within our Salesforce, within our analytics platform, and seeing which specific levers are pulling up or pulling down, and then putting more gasoline to those specific tanks. Sometimes it's about making bets. A lot of the stuff that we're doing lately, those are huge bets, and we didn't have any indication of potential success. We had no baseline for some of the stuff that we're doing. But again, when you're listening online and you're looking at what resonates with the audience, and you see, okay, my ideal customer profile, or the person that would potentially buy from me, he's engaging over there, or he posted about this and he loves this type of kind of thing. And all right, what if we do something that, kind of takes those elements and we create something that ties back to our core value as a company? Let's try that out. And I don't know what we're going to get out of it, but I know it intuitively based on what I'm hearing online that it's going to work. I don't know what numbers we're going to get, but it's going to work. And that was kind of the basis for doubling down on the podcast and bringing in an actual end user to host it, right? And it's working wonders. I mean, we've gotten, indirect inquiries to the product. We're building a community. We're teaching the community, right? We're teaching our buyers how to do things practically and pragmatically. That's something that's I think sorely missing. Like, there's so much theory, there's so much fluff, there's so much marketing buzzwords, there's so many white papers, ebooks that at the end of the day are just so high level. Let's get to the source of how you actually do one thing an episode, right? And we're seeing that it's really resonating, and that's okay. That's the baseline. Now how do we take it to the next level? How do we forecast, okay, we want to get, potential business here down the line. We want to build a community. We want to build brand visibility, so on and so forth. Then we can build on those specific levers. So it's taking a look at how your audience is interacting, how your audience is engaging, what are they saying externally? And it's a lot of legwork. There aren't many tools that can do it all for you. It's a lot of legwork. It's taking a look. It's researching. It's listening, and then taking a look back at your Google Analytics. What conversion paths are working for you? It's taking a look at your revenue metrics in Salesforce, right? What is bringing the most amount of money? What specific stories are bringing the most amount of money? The use cases, what verticals are bringing the most amount of, and so that will help us, forecast where we need to go and what's working and what's not.
Do you create specific customer personas saying, hey, my ideal customer is a male that's 50 years old, that's no,
Big no, big no, no, big no. Those
or a female?
No, no, big no. I don't use persona cards. No. I understand though, what specific organizations in the security team have a problem, and we go there. The buying committee is broad. I mean, we focus on enterprise organizations. The buying committee is broad, and we need to be able to cater to specific needs for each person in the buying committee. And so it's a lot of work, but no, I don't use. I was presented the persona cards, and I haven't looked at those since I started the company. Started at the company, and I don't use those as indications. I think those are dead, to be honest. Personas are dead. Those, firmographic things are just, slight indications of, okay, where do we need to focus on from a vertical standpoint? But no.
We have Jeff White jumping in. Good afternoon and happy Friday, y'all. Appreciate the insights today, Dani and Chris. Well, you're very welcome, Jeff White. So if the personas are dead, what's next?
Ooh, yeah, it's a hard question. Well, I don't have a right answer. to be
Okay.
honest. Yeah, just the ideal customer profile, I guess. I don't know. Do we have to put a word on it, right? Like those could change, by the way, sometimes. You have to go back sometimes and say, okay, uh we have a product, right? Do we even have customer fit? And sometimes you don't, and you have to change it up, or you're changing things in your product, and you got to it has to fit the customer need, right? And so sometimes it works backwards, sometimes you got it sometimes it changes. So you might want to go into new markets, right? Might want to tap into new markets. The customer there is completely different. So I don't know what the term is. I don't really care what the term is, right? Does it matter? But what matters is, are you able to understand what your customer needs, and then do you understand their motivation, the challenge, and then you could call them whatever you want, really.
How do you
I
find
don't
out the needs or the problem that they're having so that you can try to address that?
ask them. It's as simple as that. Pick up the phone, ask them, look into your network, listen online. If you have if you build authentic relationships and you have your network, you could be introduced to potential people for research purposes. Hey, I want to do things better, and I want to understand if this is going to even resonate with you. Can I have a 7 to 10 minute conversation and ask 3 questions? That's how the podcast came about, to be honest. It's because I didn't have access to customers, and it still to this day blows my mind. Why doesn't customer success at my company and sales want me to talk to the customer, when as a marketer that's what I need to do? You know what I mean? And I understand they have their goals. They don't want, the marketer to fumble the deal and, spew buzzwords and, oh my gosh, they're going to run away and they're going to churn. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I cannot do my job well if I don't understand, and I don't hear them, and I don't feel them, right? And I said, okay, I'm going to do a podcast, and I'm going to learn about the buyer and understand what the motivation challenge is. What do they hate that vendors do? What pisses them off? What works? What's the alternative? Okay, like I see online that CISOs and other security practitioners are just bitching about marketers and salespeople. But okay, so what do you want us to do? What's the alternative? And some will call us vermin, and I don't think that's fair. Others will say, okay, do this, do that, and do this. And I appreciate that, because you're telling me how to do my job better. Let's take it to the next level. Let's dig in. And that's what the whole point of Audience First is, to dig in and understand things a little bit better, so that the vendors, the marketers, the salespeople, even customer success, CEOs, anyone really, will do things a little bit more morally and ethically and authentically, so that we're helping you do your job better. That's one thing. The other is marketers and salespeople don't do customer research. They're not doing the customer research. And I don't know why. To be honest, I don't have time. I don't have money. I don't know how to do it, is a big reason. And so my hope is I'm helping other marketers and salespeople learn how to do customer research. It's not expensive. It doesn't have to be hard. It takes practice. It takes practice. I'm trying to get good at it. I don't know if I'm going to get good at it. I mean, it's resonating, but that's the whole basis of the podcast, is just, hey guys, here you go. Like, here's the information. Now go do something with it. Apply it. Listen and apply. I just went off on a tangent because I'm so passionate about it. So
Well, what's so funny is that your tangent has such a similarity to the the journey of a new hire. I want to get this job. Well, you don't have this experience. You don't have this. Go do this. Go do that, and try and experiment and talk to peers and figure out what you need to do. Like your journey is a very strong analogy of what new hires are facing and the persistence and determination that they need to be successful in this industry.
you have to have a genuine curiosity to learn. You have to have a genuine curiosity to learn. And I think that the security practitioners who truly understand that and will provide information for those who are curious, I commend you. I thank you very much for giving us a chance. Because to go about and again to bitch online, that's awesome. I'll eat that up all day because that's feedback. But to to keep information and the alternative and keep us from learning how to do things better, I think is very unfair. And you're just doing yourself a disservice, because many of us want to do things the right way and want to learn how to do things better. That's at least my approach. And I know a lot are subscribing to that approach, and they need the information on how to do it better.
Well, let's look at that. What action items can we do to try to improve that for the future?
Um, I think kind of be empathetic. Both, it goes both ways. Um, Understand where we're coming from. I mean, from the marketer side, I know that there are those who work in security who understand that we're under pressure. I don't I don't think the reasons we're under pressure are valid. And I can go on a tangent for that on that specific topic, but we won't go down that rabbit hole. And it's bidirectional. I think marketers and salespeople need to be empathetic to you as well. And I don't. It's hard. It's hard to be empathetic. It's hard to understand. It stems from that initial curiosity, which again, a lot of people aren't initial. They're not curious. They're just focused on the profit at the end of the day, which that's not what we're here to do. And Ryan Cloutier, Evan Franson, Chris Roberts over at the Security Shit Show are constantly saying, if you focus on the mission, you will make the money. And I strongly believe that. I see it in the results. I see it in the short-term results. If you focus on what you're meant to be here for is to protect people and help those on the front lines do their job well, you will make the money. But if you focus on how I'm going to make 2x revenue, 3x revenue, 5x revenue, which is ridiculous in my opinion, that companies are small startups. Okay, small startups maybe because you can 5x relatively simply, but bigger companies 5x. It's crazy. Holy moly! I don't want to be in that. I don't want to work for companies. I want to meet a 5x. You know what I mean? I'm sweating just thinking about it, but it's that curiosity, be empathetic, listen more, listen more. Just stop talking for a second and listen. Like, the answers are there. Most of the answers are there. Yeah, those are 2 or 2.5.
So one of the things you mentioned for yourself is like continuous learning. Do you feel that marketers know enough about their product space to be successful?
No, I don't. And I need constant training on my product. I still need to learn my product. If you can't sell your product, pardon me. Hey, Joseph. If you can't sell your product, then we're in the wrong field.
Mhm.
One thing that my short-term goal is to be more technically literate in security. And my second, I had 2 guests on my podcast say, if marketers or salespeople can do Security Plus, then that's a huge differentiator. And I'm like, that's my next goal, Security Plus, just understanding the fundamentals, understanding the language, the technical language. And then I think that being able to sell your product and tie that language to your product offering, I think is a huge thing. It will make things much easier, I think, for marketers. Um, I don't think marketers are trained well enough, to be honest, internally, on the product training side. Something to evaluate across any organization, really. It's not just in security; it's across all verticals. To be honest, I'm not, the companies that I've worked for, at least, I don't think invested enough in the product training. It's not enough to just, hey, here's a bunch of material, go, which isn't really written well in the first place. How do I use it? How would the buyer use it? How would other people be onboarded? and be trained to use it, right? What challenges does it solve? Like those are things that you have to feel. So
Well, we've approached the end of our half hour, and it's time for your surprise question. So, someone out there is watching or listening in the future, and they want to follow your footsteps. What advice would you give them?
massage your research skills, your customer research skills. The one thing I wish that I did much earlier in my career was getting close to the audience, learning about them, talking to them, listening, getting on sales calls, selling yourself as a marketer, because who knows if you're going to have a second chance if somebody comes to you for a question. Yeah, definitely building those relationships in your network authentically, keyword authentically, not expecting that don't expect that transaction. And then the second is just be patient, and listen.
Well, thank you very much for coming on and sharing the marketer's perspective. I know a lot of folks are on the other end of that transaction, and you're right. We do need to be empathetic on both sides. So I appreciate you sharing your story and allowing us to see on that side. So for
Yeah.
everyone joining us, follow myself, follow Dani, follow Dani's podcast, Audience First. Check that out. And then this podcast as well, share that with others. If you're joining us live on YouTube, hit that notification button, the subscription button, and then the notification button so that you could see us next time when we come live. And on the podcast side, Audience First, and then sharing Breaking Into Security with other people. Thank you all. Thank you, Dani, for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.